Well, it looks like no other choice was made in terms of audio description in Neon, and it actually happened. This movie has audio description on Hulu with Disney Plus, or Disney Plus with Hulu. What are we doing now? Anyway, no other choice. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And my God, one of Neon's Oscar contending international submissions, the one that didn't get the nomination, has audio description. This is no other choice. It's directed by Park Chan Wook, who directed Old Boy, and it stars Lee Byung-hun, who was in Squid Game, and this got some Golden Globe love for Lee and in multiple categories. But then when it came time for the Oscars, it was the one of the Neon films that fell by the wayside. So initially, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, when I contacted Neon about audio description for their films, figuring that, something, likely sentimental value. I really, truly, and I still stand by that. It has the distribution rights to sentimental value in the UK, and they put audio description on it. So I don't know why Neon did not do that, because the film is like half in English anyway, and it has marketable stars to American audiences. But they picked no other choice. And they said they were going to pick no other choice, but then when it released theatrically, it did not have an audio description track. So I don't know what happened with that. I never heard an audio description track. I never got a screener with it. I have a screener for No Other Choice. And I passed on reviewing it initially because I just didn't. I wanted to wait it out. Well, I waited all the way till it debuted on Hulu, and my God, there is an audio description track. So it's audioized. It's written by Sean Boggs, narrated by Nicole Cyril, and it has, I would say, 15 other 80 performers who are doing the various voices for all of the different actors in the movie, the different roles. Like the whole Boggs family. There's like 4 of them on here that are credited of like 15 names. Tristan Snyder's on there, but I think he got I don't know, someone who's related, because there's like a Nick Snyder on there. So it's a family affair. A lot of people who are credited on this. And is it my favorite audio description? Not really, but it's good audio description. I'm not gonna say it's not. I just, from hearing about No Other Choice, I was looking for how they were gonna handle all of Park Chan Wook's sort of specific directorial choices in terms of wipes and cuts and fades. And there's a little bit of that. There are scenes. There's a scene that I remember specifically where 2 people are sort of juxtaposed next to each other, even though they're in 2 different locations, like split screen, and it does describe that. So, but they're like back to back, but they're made to look. They're in 2 different locations, but they're made to look like they're standing back to back. So that was described, but not every single, and it's hard to do that, to fit that all in there, I guess, if you're, full of doing all of the dialogue and Nicole's doing the primary narration. So it's based on a book from 1997 called The Axe. Our main character here, played by Lee, is having a hard time finding a job. He recently was laid off, and he's been trying to get a job in the paper industry in South Korea, and it has not been working out well for him. And then finally he gets, like, there seems like there's potential for him to get into a job, and he assumes the only way that he can get the job is if he eliminates his competition. So he figures out who the final other people are and tries to off them one by one in sort of a dark comedic way, while his wife becomes sort of increasingly worried about his behavior, to try to get to at the point where he can actually get a job again. It does feel very current. It does feel 20 to 25. And when you hear about like the paper industry and them selling stuff, and we're moving more and more away from paper and more and more on to digital things. So it's like how many jobs are in the paper industry. It feels a lot like a commentary on how automation is pushing people out of their jobs. AI is pushing people out of their jobs. So where the people who are used to working in these industries, who are losing their jobs in their midlife, where do they do? Where do they go? When their whole career and their training is specific on one field, and they kind of hope on everybody just kind of funnels into the remaining couple of jobs that are left. For a while there, we used to have a ton of bookstores everywhere. Imagine if your whole skill set was working in bookstores, and then suddenly there's only one in your town, but there used to be 10. So all of the other people who worked in the bookstores are now all trying to get the coveted jobs at this last bookstore. So I feel like that's, because they could have picked an industry in which we still have like a thriving amount of people, something that we're still making, I don't know, cars, right? Like cars are still happening, even if they're not happening with electric engines, we're still making cars. So he would have had a much easier job. I'm not saying we're not making paper, but there's certainly less of a need for it as more and more people are we're sending less letters and cards. We're sending more and more emails and e-cards and trying to be conservative that way. So the kind of paper that he would be working in likely has gone down, at least somewhat, in terms of sales, which has led to why there's some unemployment in his field. But yeah, it's definitely got a darkly comedic tone to it. It's hard to comment on the performances because the performances are dubbed essentially for me, even though they're done by 80 performers. So it's not traditional dubbing. They're basically just reading the what would be for you subtitles, because we can't see them in the blind world. So because I can't see the subtitles, this is a big thing. This is why, like with Neon, I was like, guys, it means we literally do not have access to these movies. Because for those of us who can't read subtitles at the bottom of the screen, we would either have to be fluent in every language to enjoy world cinema, or it's just something that you're saying no to. So I'm a strong advocate for it. So of course I'm going to come in here. I also have reviews on the Tomato Meter up for 2 of their films that are rotten: Sentimental Value and The Secret Agent. I opted, at least for the time being, to not review the others, but I will come back around to them eventually if it feels like I need to. Oh, I have a review for it. It was just an accident. So I have a review for it. Was just an accident. Secret Agent Sentimental Value. I lied. Surat was the only one I hadn't reviewed up until now. Actually, after this, it'll just be Surat of the 5 international feature nominees. So they've gone 3 for 3 rotten for me, because there's not a lot there to get into. Sentimental Value was the hardest, because it's hard to get into that, because there is such a chunk of the film that I can't understand. I'm hoping at some point to be able to get some nice Brit to get me that UK audio description to get a UK copy of that, so that I can hear Sentimental Value's audio description and actually be able to appreciate the film for what it's supposed to be. It shouldn't be punished because Neon sucks. But hey, they put audio description on this one. I think it's ironic that they put audio description on 2 of their foreign language acquisitions from last year that didn't get the Oscar nominations, but the 4 that did are the 4 that don't have audio description. So Alpha, which also premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, got audio description, released in theaters in March, I want to say. Now, did I hear the audio description? No. My screener did not have audio description. Made it hard for me to consider that movie for any of my awards, but fine. Same thing with No Other Choice. I don't know that does it help this movie that I heard it and understood it now in May? No, not really. But I think one of the probably the biggest things for me about No Other Choice was ultimately I felt it was overhyped. Um, I think this is sort of the problem when you come into a film after everyone else, and I'm a little worried about this now that I'm reviewing this in May, and we have Obsession, which people have been talking about. I swear it was originally scheduled for an October release the last time I checked, and so all of a sudden it's in May. So um, I I know the excitement for it is palpable, and everybody who's seen it at any of the festivals that it's played at thus far, like 9.5 out of 10 of them have uh, thought it like was like life changing. I listened to one guy who was like, I don't know, I didn't get it. Other than that, everybody else has walked away from Obsession like it was um, like it has changed them forever. And that's kind of what I heard about No Other Choice. I mean, it felt like everybody who saw No Other Choice was obsessed with it. So, and they were all like, yeah, it'll never be nominated, but oh my God, if it was. Oh my God. And I get that a little bit. Um, Having at least listened to Surratt and knowing lightly what the plot is, I kind of wonder if Surratt also isn't sort of the same thing. Is it like, isn't that kind of in and of itself like not a traditional international feature nominee? I feel like both films are sort of like would have been groundbreaking, whereas Sentimental Value feels like the kind of thing that gets the nomination. It was just an accident feels like the kind of thing that gets the nomination. Secret Agent feels like it gets the nomination. So those films feel a little bit more akin to um, a towing the line, but these two films feel a little bit more on the fringe of what voters would like. So I don't know. The thing about this film, No Other Choice, is that Park Chan Wook deserves an Oscar nomination at some point in his career. A lot of people consider Old Boy to be like this um, fundamental film that they cite as being one of their foundations. And when they go into directing, it's been around long enough now that some of the people who are coming into directing cite it as an influence. Um, so it's weird for somebody who's influenced so many people through this film to not have recognition at this point. So I would say probably could have gotten into adapted screenplay nomination, even without the international feature. But that's just my thought. Am I super excited about No Other Choice? No, I think it's a quirky black comedy. I liked it. I just didn't love it. And I think part of that is just the overhype of it. I think if I had just watched No Other Choice, earlier with when everybody else was still trying to hype it up and still trying to ramp it up at the early part of the Oscar season, um, I I don't think I would have felt that, and I would have just been able to talk about the film as is. But instead, I felt a little slightly disappointed in what it was. It's a little long. It kind of feels a little long. It does obviously the best scenes are the ones where he's sort of uh, having these moments where he's plotting someone's death or having some sort of like hallucinatory experience, looking down at this. There's like an ad for the job that I thought that sequence was kind of funny, describing the sort of like the reading of his resume. Um, and the pot sequence I thought was cute. So no, well, cute is the wrong word, but it's clever. Uh, so there's a lot of that in there. But I don't know. It's fun. Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of current relevant social commentary in here, and that's what I like about the film. I think probably Old Boy is still a better movie though, but No Other Choice is certainly an interesting contender for the continued greatness of Park Chan Wook as a director. So, audio description, it was funny because I was having a hard time placing the audio description there. I didn't recognize Nicole's voice right away because I felt like she was trying to match the tone of the film, which is great. I mean, Nicole can get a little performative, and I think that works here. And so it was throwing me off a little bit. And I should have realized it was Nicole. I was like, it feels very familiar, but I couldn't shake why it felt familiar, and I couldn't figure out why, like which voice was being used here. And then at the end, I heard, and I was like, oh, cool. I'm intrigued that Audio Eyes got this contract, but kudos to them for putting so many people in this. I like. I've never seen this many people credited for an audio description track before. It's insane. It's an insane amount of people that are credited for an audio description track. And I don't think I've ever seen like, you have a writer, Sean Boggs, you have a narrator, Nicole Seville, and then you had like 15 names credited to do all of the voices. So that should be the standard. And, to maximize the experience. So I want to thank Neon for making that happen and Audio Eyes for taking the time to do that. So even in a film where it's got such a strong lean from an auteur in terms of style and uh, his directorial choices that are hard to convey through the audio description, like on a consistent basis, they hinted at it a couple times. It still is very much appreciated the TLC that they put into the audio description track. So, should you see it at no other choice? Yeah, probably. Is it the best film of the year? Would it be in my top 10? No, it would not have been my top 10 for last year. Um, Ironically, because of the lack of. We were doing Blind Film Critics Society. I don't know how this wouldn't have been nominated because the films that we got last year for Best International Feature, we just didn't have a whole ton of them that had audio description. And yeah, I think this had a strong chance of winning that category. So, no other choice. I'm going to give you a 7.6 out of 10. I liked it, didn't love it. Um, Probably would have made it about 10 to 15 minutes shorter, tried to cap it off at 2. A lot of times the film is strengthened by frenetic pacing. It has an energy to it, and the best way to do that sometimes is to enhance it and make it shorter. So one of the things I liked about Marty Supreme was that somehow Josh Safdie managed to feel like the runtime was like can't stop, won't stop the whole time. And I kind of wish Park had managed to do that same thing here. I kind of wanted that same frenetic energy within this film the whole time. And it kind of has a few more lulls in it than I would have liked. But certainly a very smart movie that deserves appreciation. And yeah, Neon is what happens. You put audio description on a film, and I get, I maybe will actually think about it and give it a coherent grade and score and have a thought process behind it. And look, it's fresh. Yay. Put the audio description on your other movies. It's going to be obnoxious too when they don't put audio description on their international features this year because they picked up all these movies before Cannes, and then they're going to try to tell me they didn't have enough time to put audio description on them. Like, no, we didn't have. That was a big excuse last year is they didn't have enough time from May till November. I've seen things get audio description in like a week. Like, we didn't have enough time. Yeah, you did. So, I mean, they've had distribution rights to Fjord going into Cannes for like a month now. So that's their big contender. And if that doesn't get audio description when it releases theatrically in the Oscar contending, I would be, I don't know. Someone's getting punched. I don't know who. Someone. Someone somewhere. Um, I'll use one of those sticks in the Obsession movie and make a wish for someone to get punched. It's accessibility. It just, you have to do it. Like, it's just, stop making films Like, stop trying to pretend like you're this major mini, right? Like you're on A24's level. That A24 makes higher level of consistency of audio description than you do. Sony Pictures Classics makes a higher level of consistency than you do. So if Neon wants to play with the big boys and try to go for Best Picture every single year, then play with the big boys and put your money where your mouth is and do audio description. It's not that expensive. This track probably cost them 10 to, I don't know, they're using a lot of narrators, so I'm going to say it could have been on the higher side and say maybe 15. There's a runtime. It's usually you get priced per minute. So, a film, it's a 2 hour and 20-minute movie. It could have been about 15 for the audio description track ish. I would say it's probably on the higher end, especially considering they hired 15 people to do the voices. That's a lot of paychecks. I might even be on the low end here. This is not what I was expecting. This is not the norm either. Most films do not hire 15. I think A24 went with like 5 or maybe 6 people for Zone of Interest. So it's a little overboard, but I like it. I'm not going to say no to it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And you have no other choice but to watch it. Because it has audio description on Hulu with Disney Plus, or Disney Plus with Hulu. However you want to look at that now. However you subscribe. I'll see you guys on the other side.